Welcome to Yury Experience, and today I want to talk to you about female bodies. In the previous video I was talking about male bodies, and I do recommend you to watch that video prior to this one because around the half of a video of the previous video is important for this video because a lot of stuff is quite similar, or some stuff I said in a previous video, and if you'll just turn it around, it will be about this video. So basically, if you didn't watch my video about male bodies, the link is in the description. Besides that, I need to tell you that I will not cover periods and whole reproduction process in this video. Also menopause, I will not cover that in this video because these topics require an independent video. I don't want to cover them in the same video because otherwise I will just need to make a video for half an hour, and I do way too long videos in recent time. That is why basically today's video will be about female body anatomy, some differences to male bodies, and also what is the anatomy of reproductive system, and also some of the reasons why these things exist. Let's go. But obviously, prior to going into the topic, I have to tell you that this is Yury Experience. I'm Yury, and here I cover various topics based on my experience or knowledge. And I do 2 videos per week, Mondays and Thursdays. I enjoy both of them. If you will enjoy this video, please drop a like. You can also subscribe to the channel, but except for that, let's go. As I told you in a previous video about male bodies, most of the differences between male and female bodies occur after puberty, occur after around 13 until 21 or something like that. And a lot of these differences have to do with genes, obviously, and also with hormonal levels. Main hormones that we are talking about are testosterone and estrogen, and as you probably know, most of female bodies have higher levels of estrogen than testosterone. In comparison to male bodies, higher level of testosterone and lower level of estrogen. Again, I want to repeat it, all of our bodies, all the bodies have both estrogen and testosterone. Levels are different. That's what makes our bodies to function differently. Overall, if we will compare female bodies and male bodies, I will tell you pretty much same stuff as in previous video. Male bodies have more muscle mass, female bodies have more body fat, and in comparison to each other, obviously. Also, male bodies are normally heavier and bigger. Female bodies are normally smaller on average and not as heavy. Female bodies have overall less hair than male bodies, and hair growth speed is not as high as in male bodies, but on the other hand, female bodies in general don't have baldness. It's an overall thing. Interesting thing that I didn't mention in the previous video would be fat deposition. Fat deposition is different in female bodies and male bodies, not only in terms of where it is normally deposited, and in male bodies it is, I think, stomach region normally, and in female bodies like hips normally, but also on which level. If I'm not mistaken, and I think I'm not, in female bodies fat is deposited on a higher level of tissue, closer to the outer skin. And this leads to different appearance of fat and also to different thermoisolation levels. So technically, women or female bodies shall be more protected against cold than male bodies. Practically, there is this opinion that a lot of female bodies, a lot of women don't like when there is a conditioning system that is working like AC and it makes it cold. I don't know where is the connection over there. I assumed it has a lot to do with various things. But in technicality, in anatomy, women or female bodies shall be more protected from cold than male bodies. The topic that I will touch really briefly right now, and that I will probably touch closer at some point later, is medical sexism. What I want to talk about, what is it? Medical sexism is the fact that in a lot of studies that were made during the last 100 years or even more, most of the participants were male bodies, or male humans. I hope you understand what I mean. Or if participants were of both sexes, the division wasn't there. You would say probably, what is so bad that the division wasn't there? Results can be flawed. If you watched my videos way back about quality of studies, you would know that it is important to understand what variables can influence the results of the study. And sex is pretty much often a variable that can influence study. Although our bodies are similar and not like really worlds apart from each other, there are differences, which leads to the fact that symptoms by some illnesses may be different and are different, which led to the fact that some assumptions about statistics about what is the probability of female body getting some illness or versus male body are flawed or wrong, and that is something that was recognized like since 10 years, and now scientific society is working towards this target of including this differentiation between male bodies and female bodies, because this difference is important. That is the point where you shall not say we are equal, because we are not, and that is why that's what we need to include. That's information that we need to mention, that we need to research. Also, there is medical racism, which is basically the same stuff, but most of participants were white males, because a lot of science development was made in Europe and in USA prior to some moment. But that's all different topic. Overall, the world as a society tries to move forward and tries to look into the differences in order to treat illnesses better and in order to provide better statistics, which is good. Now I have to tell you that in a moment there will be image of women anatomy, reproductive system, so like down there, but in a female body. Similarly to male reproductive system anatomy, female reproductive system anatomy also consists of two parts. So female reproductive system consists of two parts, outer part and inner part. Obviously we will start with outer part, and basically most of the things that you will see in the outer part of a female reproductive system can be summarized as vulva. I hope that's the correct pronunciation. Anyway, what do we have there? We have labia majora, labia minora, and clitoris. Obviously, these are not the only parts. These are the parts that I will talk about today, because I think we need like amount of knowledge that we can work with. Labia majora is like outer skin of this whole system, and yeah, its main target is protection, basically from anything that can come into reproductive system. So nothing that doesn't have to go there goes in there, basically infection, dirt, whatnot. Labia minora, based on my understanding, has pretty much same role, but is on the inner side and is smaller because minora, majora, and it covers vaginal opening and urinal opening. That is an important point. There is an independent opening for urine in female bodies, and that is something that is different between female body and male body. If you can remember, in male body the situation is cleared by prostate. Prostate is something that decides, okay, now sperm comes out and now urine comes out. In female body is not like that. We have two completely independent openings, like bigger vaginal opening, and I will cover that in a moment, and smaller urinal opening that is connected to the whole urinal system. Yeah, that's where urine comes out. And yes, it's not in the vagina, it's outside. In the place where labia minora connects in the top is clitoris, which is normally covered by a small hood made out of skin. And clitoris, based on my understanding, is something that female bodies have mostly for pleasure. And there are like a lot of nerve endings in there, also actually in labia minora too. But overall, clitoris is something that you do for pleasure, but you shall not forget that clitoris is hidden under the hood, if you will work with it, I would call it like that. Then we have inner reproductive system, and it consists of vagina, uterus, ovaries, and fallopian tubes. Again, as most important parts, there are more parts than that. Vagina is basically the part that comes straight after the opening, and if you put anything in there, that's basically where it goes to, like penis, fingers, toys, whatever you put in there, that's what comes in there. Basically, when male erection takes place, then the whole fluid comes into vagina and then is traveling through the whole system, and I will cover that a little bit in a moment, but more in independent video. Another function of vagina is like a leading route when baby comes out. So baby comes out through vagina out of the opening and yeah, into the world. Speaking of babies, uterus is a place where embryo grows. So if this whole process was successful, and where it takes place I will tell you in a moment, then the egg, which has sperm or like man cells already in itself, this egg comes to uterus, is placed in there, and that's where the baby grows. And it also has, this whole organ also has muscles which are really important by childbirth. So basically the whole push thing, it happens in there. And yeah, that's where babies are produced, and then they go through vagina out of the body. Now eggs, and that's the whole production system of female cells that after connection with male cells will bring an embryo, is quite interesting, and that is the reason basically why I will cover that in an independent video. I read about it today and I was like, ooh, cool. But overall they are produced in ovaries. We female bodies have 2 ovaries, and both of these are produced in eggs, and then they travel through fallopian tubes into the uterus. By the way, the whole process of human sperm or male sperm finding female eggs takes place in fallopian tubes. It doesn't take place in ovaries or in uterus. So basically sperm has to travel pretty much long distance in terms of human body until it finds an egg or eggs, like 1 egg per ovary. That is basically general anatomy of reproductive system of a female body. What happens during erection? Obviously there are like some stages of an erection, but overall the whole idea is not very different to a male body. A lot of blood flow goes to the reproductive organs, and they get swollen. A good example is clitoris, for example. Clitoris can get swollen, and basically there's even this analogy of clitoris being something similar to a head of a penis. Also, labia minora can change its color, although it is difficult to understand that if you don't really like look into it during the process. And vagina changes its size, if you can call it like that, and also grows how much the space is in there. Basically, vagina becomes smaller around the opening of the vagina. And then the intercourse takes place, and male penis at some point ejaculates some liquid inside of a female body if it was made like that, and then this liquid travels, or actually sperm travels, and if anything worked out, then we can create an embryo. That's like overall tension. Again, I will cover that in an independent video. Let's talk a little bit about pleasure. There are at least 2 common kinds of orgasm which a female body can achieve. And we need to talk here about first time. It is independent of types of orgasm, but overall female body takes longer to come to this point of orgasm than male body. As I told you, male bodies can take somewhere from an average number, I think was 5-6 minutes, and female body average number is like 12 minutes, 13 minutes. Which means it is pretty complicated for both parties to come to an orgasm simultaneously, at least without foreplay or like different stuff that is happening. But overall it is complicated to get there together. Speaking of types of orgasms, there are 2 general types, and this is vaginal and clitoral orgasms. Guess what you need to do in order to achieve them. Clitoral orgasm is an orgasm which can be achieved through applying some tension on the clitoris. And again, you shall not forget that clitoris is hidden under the hood, and also what you have to use is lubrication, because female body lubrication is not enough for that. It may be enough, it depends on female body, but overall lubrication is never a bad thing, so go for it, use lubrication and bring pleasure. How much tension you need to apply and how much you need to do a DJ, and what kind of DJ you need to do. Conversation, communication. No 2 female bodies are completely same. So they are similar, but overall communicate. There are more sensitive clitori, and there are less sensitive clitori, and so on. Which is why communicate. Vaginal orgasm is an orgasm which is achieved through penetration of some kind, And it is complicated to achieve that with penis. It's not always complicated, it depends on you and whatnot, but overall for a lot of female bodies it is complicated to come to an orgasm through penetration by male penis. And by the way, it has nothing to do with the size, it has something to do with how long male bodies can do that, and also sometimes with the size, depends on female body, and also on the position of the mostly pleasure point, and this is magical G point, and it is not really difficult to find. If you put fingers in there and make a come here movement, that is basically where G point is. If you will touch in there, you will recognize like this such kind of tissue, and when you will feel it, you will get it. Like, trust me, believe me. But the problem is our penises are not in this form. So even through smaller size of the opening of a vagina, even though the vagina becomes like closer to your penis, it is often not enough to bring a female body to an orgasm. Which is why two things: fingers and toys. Don't think you are less of a person if you cannot bring a person to an orgasm only through your parts. There are enough of things, and the main point is that you have pleasurable time and that you both enjoy it. That is why use toys, use fingers, use lubrication, use a lot of different things and enjoy it. And also communicate to each other what other person likes and what not. Tempo, speed, how much tension and what not. Communicate. And then it's not that difficult to bring a female body to an orgasm. But talk. It is possible. It is sometimes difficult, and it is more difficult than male body, but still it is definitely possible. It wouldn't be a lie to say that this video was a little bit more difficult than the video about male anatomy, because I'm a male, and that is why it's not as easy for me to talk about female anatomy. Not because it's a strange topic, and it's more about, I know my anatomy more or less, I know how it works, but female anatomy is something that I need more to learn and to learn about. That is actually also a reason why I decided to make a whole video about periods independent out of this video, because I wanted to read about it properly and not just skip about it. But overall, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If you want, you can subscribe. You can also write a comment if you think that I had to include something more. And yes, have a great week, and I see you on Thursday.